よしや、どこで吹いてるのかな。
Where are you? God damn it. Where are you? This could turn out badly if I don't know. There it is.
やあ、エステル、いい夜だね。
うん。また、その曲なんだ。星のありか。
いろいろなものをなくしたけど、この曲と、このハーモニカだけはいつも僕のそばにいてくれた。だから、吹き納めにと思ってね。
え？
約束、果たさせてくれるかな。君に会うまでに、それを、今から話したいんだ。
よしや、うん。
少し、長い話になるけど。
もちろん。きっちり最後まで聞かせてもらうわ。
ありがとう。昔々、あるところに、一人の男の子がいました。甘えん坊で、気が弱くて、何の取り柄もない男の子。でも、大切な人たちと一緒にいて、男の子の毎日は、とても幸せでした。しかし、あることがきっかけで、男の子の心は壊れてしまいました。言葉と感情を失い、食事も取らずにハーモニカだけを吹き続ける毎日。面倒を見てくれた人の努力も虚しく、男の子は日に日に痩せ衰えていきました。そんな男の子の前に一人の魔法使いが現れました。私がその子の心を治してあげよう。ただし代償は支払ってもらうよ。そうして男の子は魔法使いに預けられることになりました。壊れた心をつなぎ合わせながら、魔法使いは男の子の存在を好きなように作り変えていきました。そして新たな心を手に入れた時、男の子は人殺しになっていました。2年もの間、男の子は毎日のように人を殺し続けました。何十人もの部隊を闇に紛れて全滅させたこともあります。屈強な護衛に守られていたとある国の大臣の屋敷に潜入して、その喉をかき切ったこともあります。時には爆発物を使い、罪もない人々を巻き添えにしました。いつしか男の子はただの人殺しから優秀な化け物に成長し、漆黒の牙と呼ばれ恐れられるようになっていました。そして男の子は魔法使いにある標的の暗殺を命じられました。かつて女王様が治める国を北の大きな国から守った英雄、大陸で4人しかいないという特別な称号を持っている遊撃士を。でもその標的は強すぎました。子猫が虎にいなされるように、男の子は撃退されてしまいました。失敗した男の子の前に魔法使いの手下たちが現れました。標的に顔を知られてしまった男の子を始末しようとしたのです。しかしその手下を追い払って男の子を救ってくれた人がいました。それは 男の子が暗殺に失敗した党の標的である遊撃士だったのです。そして男の子はその人の家に連れてこられて、一人の女の子と出会いました。その家で男の子は5年もの間素敵な夢を見せてもらいました。本当ならその男の子には許されるはずもなかった夢を。だけど夢はいつか覚めるものです。現実に戻る時が迫っていました。これでこの話はおしまいだ。ありがとう。最後まで耳を塞がずに聞いてくれて。
それってどこまで本当なの？
全部本当のことだよ。僕の心が壊れているのも、僕の手が血塗られているのも、君のお父さんを暗殺しようとして失敗したのも、そして今までずっと。男の子は本当の意味で救いようがない存在だった。そこにいるだけで不幸と最悪をもたらすような、そんな汚れた存在だったんだ。だから男の子は旅立つことにした。幸せな夢を見せてくれた人たちを、自分という存在を作った悪い魔法使いを止めるために。それは僕が人間らしい心を最後に持っていた時のものだ。もう必要のないものだから。だから君に受け取ってほしい。この5年間のお礼にはとてもならないだろうけど、何もないよりは。
加減にしなさいよ。
え？
いい加減にしなさいっての。夢なんて言わないでよ。まるで今までのことが本当じゃなかったみたいじゃない。過去が何だっていうの？心が壊れてる？それがどうしたっていうのよ。
エステル、
私を見て、私の目を見てよ。ずっとその男の子のことを見てきたわ。いいところも悪いところも知ってる。男の子が何かに苦しみながら必死に頑張ってたことも知ってる。そんなヨシアのことを私は好きになったんだから。一人で行くなんてダメだからね。私の気持ちを置き去りにして消えちゃうなんて絶対に許さないんだから。
エステル。
ヨシア、何今の口の中に流れて。
即効性のある睡眠誘導剤だよ。副作用はないから安心して。
No. No! No!
どうして
Yeah. Why?
そんなものを。
僕のエステル、お日様みたいに眩しかった君と一緒にいて幸せだったけど、同時にとても苦しかった。明るい光が濃い影を作るように、君と一緒にいればいるほど僕は自分の忌まわしい本性を思い知らされるようになったから。だから出会わなければよかったと思ったこともあった。
そんな。
でも今は違う。君に会えたことを感謝している。こんな風に大切な女の子から逃げ出すことしかできない僕だけど、誰よりも君のことを思っている。
ヨシュア、ヨシュア。
今まで本当にありがとう。
I don't know. I don't know if I can forgive this.
出会った時から
I can't forgive this.
君のことが大好きだったよ。さよなら、エステル。
I don't know if I can accept this. This is unacceptable. What the fuck? Oh, don't do this. First chapter. I know that this note is intentional. Kind of gives me, you know, Hanabashi folklore vibes. Oh, don't do this. You did this with Kuro. Come on. Not a second time. This is not fair. Come on, don't do this. Don't do this to me. I think this is the first ending credits I actually fucking despise. The most bitter of coffee. There's not even a bittersweet aspect to this. This is just bitter. This leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like, yeah, I know it's supposed to be the incentive, but, like, bitter. It tastes awful. I'm going to revel in second chapter when I go grab that little shit by the scruff of his neck and beat the shit out of him. Never break Estelle's heart again. I'm pissed. It pisses me off. Oh God, come on! You just want to rub salt in the wound, don't you? Oops, wrong button. Oh, cool. Player data. Sweet. New Game Plus. Awesome. Alright, so. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been playthrough 1 of this game. We will come back to this, but why can't they? They changed. Hmm? No, you did not. You were too late to the end, but, like... So, you did not, like, miss the end. You missed the end, but not my thoughts on it. Oh, God, the ending is so bitter. There's not even like a bittersweet tone to it. It's just, there's not a taste of this world that can really encapsulate the bitterness I feel out of this ending. There is not a piece of coffee, plant, herb, beans, spice, you name it. To hear his fucked up summary of a story, it's intentional bitter. It makes sense, but it's also brutal. So basically, we find out that but it's intentional, because you're supposed to hate the ending. That's the incentive to go straight into the sequel of Trails in the Sky 2nd chapter. And yes, there's 3 chapters to it. The first 2 chapters are Estelle and Joshua. The third, it's Keith, I think, right? Not Keith. I'll remember his name in 3rd chapter, but there's a completely different guy. And when you see me play a 3rd chapter, you will oh, Kevin! That's his name. 3rd game's name is Kevin, and when you play the 3rd chapter of this series of Trails in the Sky, you'll see a lot of, like, reverie in this. But there is no way to describe how disgusting. Yeah, I know, right? And he's, like, considered one of, if not the best protagonist, by the way. Like, you hear them, like, confess their feelings, but in, like, a really sad, like, Tanabata sort of story where, for those who don't know what Tanabata is, like, there's a folklore bit about 2 different stars that'll never be able to love and meet each other. That no matter where they are, no matter where they'll be, their journey will never end. Keep in mind, I know how it goes on. I'm just saying overall, yeah. Bitter. And, like, there's not enough soda in the world that I could ever drink that will get rid of that taste. I'll be doing Kuro tomorrow to kind of refresh the taste. And for good reason. And there's a specific reason why that, like, sets the stakes for the rest of the game series and is still felt in the sequels beyond Cold Steel. Like, you don't want to know what's going on with Ren. Renne. You do, like, when you find out the story about Ren, you'll want to vomit. Like, if you thought, like, the fucked up stuff with the DG Cult was bad in Crossbell, oh, fucking boy, you're gonna really, like, want to puke. Yeah, it is. And when you realize that, like, one of the patrons of that DG Cult Lodge is, like, the speaker of Crossbell, yeah. It gets worse and worse and worse. From, like, 3rd until Azure. There's, like, a sectional mini arc from, like, either second chapter or third chapter, all the way up to Azure. Yeah. And it's a subtle escalation because it's all in the background. It's fucked. It's not maggot bait's fucked, but it's still really fucked. Yeah, I heavily advise that. Like, throw up a, like, visual. Like, when you and start doing that, like, roughly around chapter 3 or 4 out of 5. Make sure you have it on your thumbnail. It'll be both an advertisement and a warning at the same time. But man, this ending, man. I think this is like the first time I hate an ending, and that's by design. My heart sinks worse than the Titanic currently sinks at the bottom of the sea. Ugh. I'm gonna be doing a fan translation to Kuro soon, or tomorrow, or the next day. Okay, so rough sketch. I put it above. So bottom is still From Zero by far, or sorry, no, Cold Steel 3 by far, and then there's From Zero. That's one separate category. The next category is roughly... Hold on, let me do something real quick. Oh, that's how I'll do it. I'm gonna look up my PSN profiles, because they have a section where, like, you have the game series. Where, like, if you're playing a game series that you're, like, a part of, they'll have all the, like, things from the series. So, let's see. From Zero. First chapter. Okay, so. Alright. Here's how I have a rough estimate. So, like I said, Cold Steel 3 at the bottom still. I don't think that'll ever change. Then slightly above that is From Zero. And that's only because I can really gel with the cast. It's still unjustifiably slow, but it's like, and the way it just gets disrespected by its sequel is also a problem. And then there's this next section. And people will probably hate me for putting, like, you know, Cold Steel 1 so high up the list, but next is Cold Steel 1. Above that is where I'd place Sky First Chapter. Then, let's see. At the bottom of the final tier is To Azure, Cold Steel 4, Trails into Reverie, and Cold Steel 2 at the very top. I know it's a weird fucking thing, but still. That's how I feel on it. I don't fucking think I don't like the ending. And I know it's by design, but fuck this ending. Like, it's the motivation for you to play second chapter. But fuck this ending, man. Like, they want you to say fuck this ending, but yeah, fuck this ending. I wonder if the movie section has that cutscene. Nope. Wait, maybe next? Okay, so... Oh, it's going to be an insane escalation. People are going to really enjoy it, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a break from Trails in the Sky. I'm going to take my copy of Kuro. I'm going to insert the fan translation so that when we play this, we will actually get a fan translation of an up-and-coming game. We'll play that. We'll see how far we can get on it. Then we'll circle back to Trails in the Sky first chapter, finish the 100% Kuro, and then move on to second chapter. Sorry, I need a fucking palate cleanser. I need something that, like, takes away the downright bitter and salty taste in my mouth. It's a good story. It's a fantastic story with a well-written ending. Just that tonally, it's not fun. But yeah. Score-wise, on a technical level, an 8. Personal level, 7. Here's why. Fantastic secondary boss. Disappointing final boss. Great resolution. We find the reveal that everybody figured out of who the actual main puppet master is. But then you get that ending. Yeah, basically, that's a better way of putting it. So, the problem is with its ending structure. So, we find the main conspirator bad guy. We fight him, right? We fight him, he's a challenge, he's fun, it's personal. But he's not the final boss. Instead, we fight this fucking mech, man. And this mech is just so goddamn annoying to fight. Like, yeah, the final boss was annoying to fight as well, but, like, I could at least get invested into it. But what took me out is fighting a goddamn mech. So, already that kind of puts an annoying taste in my mouth. But then, on top of that, we get this cool reveal of who the real puppet master behind the scenes is. And we get the first mention of Ouroboros. And yes, I'm pronouncing it this way because the game pronounces it this way. I know that you prefer it Ouroboros, but, like, again, it's how the game pronounces it. Yeah, basically. And I'm gonna call it by how the game does. So, there's that. So, like, you find out that, like, he's a top guy in the Ouroboros faction. So it's the first time you really get a name drop. And, like, he's, like, those villains, like, you never really, like, he's a villain, but, like, he does not look like one. He looks like that very, like, pacifistic, relaxed kind of dude. But you find out that, like, a lot of people, when they do bad things in the game, their memories are wiped. He's the guy who wipes their memories. You can predict that, like, the real baddie, like, you can predict that he's the real baddie, but you can't really predict the scope. Like, a lot of these memory issues really reminded me of, like, the DG cult in Crossspell, because they had drugs that had a similar effect. But they swerved me on it. Because it turns out that Ouroboros, the main, like, guy involved in the background of the story, he's actually the one doing the memory manipulation. The problem is, you want to know what leads into the bitter ending? The male protagonist, the love interest between each other, he also had his memories wiped by that guy. And when he fucking finds out all of his memories back, yeah. And he finds out that he's an assassin who murders people, and that he had been unaware that he had been feeding Ouroboros information on the people he loves in his current family the entire time without knowing. And then before the final boss fight, we fight a guy who's also a member of Ouroboros named Love, I think. And he's a mystery in of itself because you don't see his actual face until like the very end. So there's that as well. Yeah! Yeah! Exactly! The guy's real name, like, he's known when he's like, you know, the regular guy or whatever, when you don't like know his actual name, which I did, but like think of it as like a first-time perspective. You see him known as Professor Alba, some sort of weird archaeologist historian guy. His real name is Weissman, and he's one of the top exec guys. Weissman the Faceless. It's insane. It is fucking batshit insane, dude. The only two games I think don't really land well and are at the bottom, but are still, like, heads and shoulders above Neptunia, which that's a different kind of bitter. And, like, Cold Steel 3, it's at the bottom, but I'd put it roughly around the same story level and mechanics level as V2. I'm gonna be honest. And honestly, I find myself a bit hypocritical here. And here's why. I didn't really discover my hypocrisy in this until I played Trails in the Sky. Look, you want to know why? It's because before playing Trails in the Sky, I liked the Ascension ending. I liked its purpose to the Revival ending. This is the same basic concept. But I hated this one. And I think the only reason why is like the level of investment, but like it's weird that I have some sort of weird retroactive hypocrisy that I never realized I had. Which is really fucking weird. Because I like the Ascension ending into the Revival ending, but I hate the way this ends? Is it because of the romantic angle, maybe? I don't know, but there's like a weird sense of unintended hypocrisy. It's a weird thing to discover about yourself in a game like Trails in the Sky. Because for some reason, I still, to some degree, like the Ascension ending in Revival, but I hate the way the structure leads me to the ending of Trails in the Sky. It's weird. Like, it's not entirely equivalent, but like, I kind of get where you're coming from now about V2R. About not having to go through the Ascension ending. I kind of get where you're coming from. Took me Trails in the Sky to understand it, but like, I don't know. I feel, speaking of sliders, as you see on the screen, I think that's really what it comes down to. It's like there's a slider that like has a certain level of tolerance. So, you know, you're right, it's probably context sensitive. But the way I see it, like, the best way I can think of to describe it as an analogy is a slider. Like, when you slide the Ascension ending to V2, it's still tolerable. But, like, if you go way too far on that slider, I think I'm not gonna be a fan of it. But, like, at least it helps me understand people who don't like the Ascension ending. It does help me understand that. And that's a positive, at least. Maybe it's because of the romance and, like, the organic lovability between the two. Like, I don't get me wrong, I love an Uzume and all that, but she didn't really have another character to, like on an equivalent level. Like Nepgear, the closest is maybe Adult Neptune, but like I feel like there's like a separation between the Nep crew and Uzume, like completely different styles and experiences. But there always seems like a certain level of distance between the main characters and Uzume. But we start with Estelle and Joshua from the start. So maybe it's because of the time spent that makes me more emotionally invested. Because I was invested, but just not at this level. I know I'm talking way too much about my thoughts on this, but like this is the only way I can really describe it. I think that's what kind of justifies my analogy here. And really, honestly, I know you don't agree with me on this, but with Blue Reflection Second Light, I really do love the relationship dynamics. But I hated the battle mechanics. I know you're not going to agree with me on this, but I think it would have been more of a benefit if it was more of a visual novel. I know it's a take. Most people won't agree with it, including you. But that's my take on it, because to me, the battles were time wasters. They didn't really contribute to the character dynamics. The cutscenes before the battles did, but not the actual battles themselves. Like, beating a random boss doesn't help a character discover herself in some way. Well, some do. Admittedly. Can't, think of an analogy offhand. But, I mean, again, to me, Blue Reflection's most endearing traits were the side stories and the character dynamics of the main story. What I love about... And it's the same basic feeling in Trails in the Sky. Except I don't really want any corrections. If anything, Trails in the Sky is perfectly paced. Its structure at the end is a bit shot, but as an overall style and structure, it's perfect. Yeah, but my investment in the bosses... I haven't played the first one, so I kind of have a weird perspective on it. I've only, played Second Light and only Platinum Second Light. So I don't have that first game perspective. That may actually be what kind of screws my perspective over, maybe. That maybe I have to play the first one to understand why people like the second one and its battles. But I often come into series in weird ways. But when you play a game of self-discovery, in my opinion, you kind of have to tie the bosses into that. Yeah, that's fair. But I do like themes of empathy. And I do, to certain degrees, empathize with fictional characters. The problem is that it's the battles that don't click with me. But I do like the main character dynamics and the side stories. Though, one kind of criticism I do have, I don't like the build system. I don't like gating a character side story through building and replacing buildings. I know that's also going to be a bit of a take. So, technical level 8, personal enjoyment 7. And I hope whatever the third name of the third game's title is going to be. I hope they see what some people have for criticisms and maybe work that in. For all we know, maybe 3 will be the pinnacle of Gus production. Maybe they can take some of the general criticisms of the previous game. Maybe they'll make something really good. And it's not like I'm... The thing is, though, is that I'm not just into Gust. I'm also into like other Koei Tecmo properties. But yeah, I do love Trails in the Sky, but some of the things that just don't jive with me. I don't really like the amount and volume of side quests. Think of it to kind of emphasize kind of my problem with it. There's like 170 to 180 side quests. So if you want 100% this game, welcome to the nightmare. The positive is that you don't have to have a nightmare difficulty trophy, so there's that. I am going to be doing Kuro to kind of... Oh, wow, nice. It is. It really is. Thankfully there's a guide out there, but like, yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna have a lot to chew on for the night. I might like clip the review part, or like my general thoughts part, so people can like, oh, there's this separate video he decided to make. Because really, I don't know if I want to do review vids too much. One of the things I remember when I do video editing is that I really hate video editing. I mean, they're not bad. Generally, by default, Trails quests are somewhere between engaging and inoffensive. Like, there's never really, in my opinion, a bad quest in this series. I don't think there is. Every single quest I did actually do, loved them. Like, here's the thing, is like, next time I do a rankings video, like when I finish every one of these games, I'm hiring a fucking editor. I'm already having struggles with scripting my journey for like that documentary I mentioned. But like, I am looking forward to being able to shoot like the cinematography. But like, yeah, I'm gonna pay somebody to do it, not me. Not me. Plus, I have the whole election stuff that I have to deal with, so there's that too. But man, this was engaging. Mechanically, though, there are some problems. A lot of the bosses are annoying, even on the easiest difficulty. It has like some of the same boss problems as the original Neptunia, where like it's stupidly unfair, and you have to like really fuck around with the mechanics to see how much you can get away with. The fun in this game's mechanics is trying to exploit how much you can get away with, really. It's like, ooh, and it's not a bad thing, but it does drag down a bit. It makes like a 10-minute fight a 15 to 20-minute fight. It is fun on the aspect of like game theory. Like, oh, let's see what we can do to get away with a lot of bullshit. Like, the only reason why I could survive the final boss with is quite similar to the final boss of 2 Azure, with, like, super interesting lasers and stuff. But, like, the only way I could survive is, like, constantly spamming Earth Wall to make sure my characters don't take damage, and positioning my characters so they can get Earth Wall and let Tier All, which allows me to heal a certain party amount within a certain circle.